Let's be real for a second. Your kid's playing, having a blast, and then, bam, they take a tumble, and you see that telltale chip in their tooth. It is a heart-stopping moment for any parent. But what if I told you that some of these dental injuries aren't just a quick fix? They can have lifelong consequences. So today, we're going to talk all about how to protect that precious smile for good.
We all know that scrapes and bruises are just part of growing up, right? But think about this for a second. Can you name a common childhood injury that, even though it happens in a split second, might need treatment for the rest of that person's life? Any guesses?
You got it, a serious dental injury. Yeah, it's kind of surprising, isn't it? But the truth is, the fallout from a bad dental injury can echo for years, sometimes even decades. And that is exactly what we are going to dive into right now.
So just how big of a problem are we talking about here? Well, this goes way beyond a few chipped teeth. Believe it or not, experts actually consider traumatic dental injuries, or TDIs for short, to be a major public health issue all around the world.
Get this, sports accidents can account for up to 39% of all dental injuries in children. Let that sink in. That's almost 2 out of every 5 injuries. So yeah, that weekend soccer game or after-school practice, it can actually be a bit of a danger zone for your child's smile.
So why all the fuss? Why is this such a big deal? Well, it's not just that these injuries happen a lot. The damage can be really, really severe. We're talking about things that affect not just the teeth and gums, but even the bones in their face. And because this often happens when kids are really young, the journey to get things fixed can be a very long one.
Okay, so where are these injuries actually happening? You might think it's from some crazy daredevil stuff, but a lot of the time, it's during totally normal, everyday activities. This kind of injury has a fancy name, orofacial trauma, which really just means trauma to the mouth and face area. And the causes are things you see every day: falls, bike accidents, sports, even something that seems as harmless as a baby walker can be a major culprit.
All right, so we know the what and where. But what about the who? Who is most at risk? Well, it turns out that not all kids are facing the same level of risk. Things like a child's age, their activities, and even the specific way their teeth are positioned can make them way more likely to get hurt.
This timeline really paints a clear picture. You can see these peak danger zones. First, you've got the toddler years, from 1 to 3, when they're all wobbly and learning to walk. Falls are the #1 enemy there. Then, as they get a little older, from 6 to 12, things like bikes, scooters, and sports enter the scene, and the risk shoots right back up. And then you see another spike in the teenage years, from things like car accidents and more intense competitive sports.
And here's something you might find interesting. There's actually a gender gap. It turns out that boys are 1.5 times more likely to have a dental injury than girls. So if you've got a little guy running around, you might want to pay just a little extra attention. Now, here's something you've probably never even considered. The actual position of your child's teeth can make a huge difference. You know how some kids' top front teeth stick out just a little bit more? Dentists call it an overjet. Well, those teeth are basically a bullseye for an impact. They're the first thing to make contact and they absorb all the force. Even a tiny overjet can seriously increase the risk.
Okay, that was a lot of doom and gloom. But here's the good news, the really good news. There are so many simple, straightforward things you can do to protect your child. So let's open up the prevention playbook.
The absolute key to all of this is something called primary prevention. Now that sounds super technical, but it's a really simple idea. You just stop the injury before it even has a chance to happen. It's like putting up a baby gate at the top of the stairs. You're not waiting for a fall. You're making it impossible in the first place. That's what this is all about.
First up, let's talk about your home. For toddlers, we already know that falls are the #1 cause of these injuries. So, if you haven't done it yet, please install safety gates at the top and bottom of your stairs. It's such a simple fix, but it can make a world of difference. Next on the list, furniture. Come on, we all know it. Those sharp corners on coffee tables and fireplaces are like magnets for a toddler on the move. But with a few cheap and easy corner and edge bumpers, you can turn a potential emergency room visit into a minor oopsie.
And finally, at home, let's talk about access. Just think of your house as a giant playground full of potential hazards. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to make sure your little explorer can't get into trouble. That means outlet covers, doorknob covers, whatever it takes to keep them safe.
Okay, let's head outside to the playground. This is where the ground itself can be your child's best friend or its worst enemy. A fall onto concrete can be absolutely devastating, but a fall onto a soft, impact-absorbing surface like rubber or even wood chips, that can be the difference between a few tears and a trip to the hospital.
And we absolutely cannot forget about safety when you're on the move. Car accidents are a huge cause of facial injuries in kids. That's why it is so critically important to use the right car seat for your child's age and size. Think of this chart as your ultimate guide for keeping your little ones safe in the car.
And now, for the grand finale, we are going to talk about the true unsung hero of sports safety, the mouthguard. Honestly, this little piece of plastic is probably your child's single best defense against a whole range of dental disasters. A mouthguard is basically a superhero for your child's mouth. I mean, look at this list. It shields their teeth, it protects their lips and cheeks from getting cut, and it can even help prevent their jaw from fracturing. Oh, and that last point about concussions? It's true. By cushioning the blow, it can actually reduce the shock wave that travels up to the skull during an impact. It's a tiny piece of gear with some serious superpowers.
So, what are your options? First, you've got your basic stock mouthguard. You can think of this as the one-size-fits-all choice. They're cheap, you can find them anywhere, but the fit isn't going to be great. Next up is the one most of us have probably used, the Boil and Bite mouthguard. This is kind of the DIY option. You just soften it up in hot water, bite down on it, and boom, you've got a much, much better fit than the stock kind. And it's still really affordable.
And finally, we have the creme de la creme of mouthguards, the custom-made one. This is made by a dental professional to fit your child's mouth and only their mouth perfectly. It's the most comfortable, it's the most protective, and let's be honest, it's usually the coolest looking one too.
So which one is right for your kid? This chart really breaks it down. A custom fit is definitely going to give you superior protection because it locks in place and spreads out the force of an impact. But, and this is the most important part, any mouthguard is 1,000 times better than no mouthguard. So whether you go stock, Boil and Bite, or custom, just make sure your child is protected. You know, we go to such great lengths to protect our kids. We put up gates, we buckle them into their car seats, we cover them in sunscreen. We do all of this without a second thought. So what about their smiles? Isn't it time we gave their teeth the exact same level of care and protection we give the rest of them?